Long ago, in the midst of ancient Ireland, before the land had been shaped by the hands of time, the earth was ruled by the forces of chaos and primal power. Among the many deities that called this time home, none were as feared or revered as Morrigan, the goddess of war and fate. The first whispers of her existence began not in the hallowed halls of the gods, but in the shadows of the earth itself. She was born from the depths of the land, formed from the very soil, blood, and storm. Her name, Morrigan, meant Phantom Queen or Great Queen, but even these titles were not enough to encompass the breadth of her power. Morrigan was one of the triune goddesses who ruled over fate, battle, and the forces that shaped the world. The land itself seemed to pulse with her energy, and in the hearts of the people, she was both a protector and a harbinger of doom. When the winds howled in the night, when the thunder cracked across the sky, it was her voice that was heard in the distance, a reminder that she was always near. In her earliest days, Morrigan was not the battle-hardened deity that she would later become. She was a being of chaos, learning the ways of war, fate, and prophecy through the trials and conflicts that raged across the world. Her heart was wild and untamed, but it was also keenly aware of the balance that must be maintained. The gods knew that Morrigan had a purpose, even if the full extent of her destiny had yet to be revealed. Her early years were marked by a deep connection with the earth itself. She wandered through the great forests of Ireland, speaking to the trees, the stones, and the rivers. These elemental forces taught her the art of shape-shifting, enabling her to become whatever form suited her purpose. She could appear as a raven, watching over battlefields from the sky, or as a beautiful maiden, enchanting the hearts of men and warriors. But her true power lay in her ability to influence the fate of those she encountered. Morrigan's power grew as she embraced her role as a goddess of war. Her form, her very being, became divided into three distinct yet interconnected aspects: Badb, Macha, and Nemain. Each of these forms represented a different facet of her divine essence. Badb was the embodiment of the war goddess, the one who reveled in bloodshed and chaos. She was a face that appeared to warriors as they faced death on the battlefield, the one who guided them into the fray, whether they were meant to succeed or perish. In the moment before a battle, it was Badb who would appear as a crow, perched on a branch or soaring above, her gaze piercing through the hearts of soldiers. Her presence was said to signal either victory or defeat, depending on the will of the gods. Macha, the second aspect of Morrigan, was a goddess of sovereignty and fertility, yet also of strength and strategy. Macha was the one who led armies with wisdom, her counsel sought by kings and warriors alike. Her beauty was known to be captivating, and her charm could sway the hearts of men and women alike. Macha's power was not only in her physical form, but also in her ability to see beyond the mortal realm, understanding the strategies that would lead to success or failure. Nemain, the third aspect, was the embodiment of terror and madness. She was the one who would strike fear into the hearts of warriors, sending them into a frenzy of confusion and panic. Nemain was often associated with the horror that descended upon battlefields, the fog of war that clouded the minds of those who fought. When Nemain appeared, victory was often uncertain, for her power was to disrupt the order of things, to turn the tides of fate in unpredictable directions. These three faces of Morrigan were not separate entities, but rather parts of a whole, each working in tandem to shape the course of events. Together, they formed a force that could bring both life and death, prosperity and ruin. But while Morrigan reveled in the power she wielded, there was always a sense of inevitability about her actions. She was a goddess of fate, and no matter how much she sought to change the world, the path laid out before her was already determined. One of Morrigan's earliest and most significant actions was the prophecy she cast over the hero Cú Chulainn, a figure destined to shape the fate of Ireland. Cú Chulainn, a warrior of unparalleled skill and valor, was to be the key to the survival of the land, but also its destruction. When Cú Chulainn was but a young boy, Morrigan appeared to him in the form of an old woman. She had seen the warrior's potential, and she knew that his fate was intertwined with the fate of Ireland itself. But what Cú Chulainn did not know was that his strength was a double-edged sword, one that would both protect and destroy his homeland. The goddess approached the boy while he was traveling through the woods. She offered him her blessing, but there was a price. He must prove his worth by helping her in a series of tasks. Cú Chulainn, eager for glory, agreed without hesitation, unaware that he was stepping into a web of fate from which there would be no escape. The first task was a test of strength, where Morrigan challenged him to battle. As they fought, Morrigan's power became clear. Her form shifted between that of a wolf, a serpent, and a raven, each time testing his abilities in different ways. Cú Chulainn fought with all his might, but he could not defeat her. Yet, instead of feeling fear or anger, he felt a strange respect for the goddess. She then revealed to him the prophecy. You will be the hero who defends this land from its enemies, but your death will come through your own hands, by the blade of a warrior who has loved you like a brother. Cú Chulainn was stunned. His destiny was now laid out before him, a path filled with both greatness and tragedy. Morrigan, seeing his confusion and dread, smiled faintly before disappearing into the mist, leaving the boy with the weight of prophecy upon his shoulders. As time passed, Morrigan's role as a goddess of war became more pronounced. Her involvement in the battles of the gods and mortals alike shaped the very course of history. One of the greatest wars she participated in was the battle for the sovereignty of the land itself, when the ancient gods of Ireland fought against each other for control of the realms. The Great War began with the rise of the Fomorians, a race of dark and destructive beings who sought to conquer Ireland and bend it to their will. Led by the fearsome Balor, the Fomorians were a threat that could not be ignored. The Tuatha Dé Danann, the gods of the land, knew that they would need the help of Morrigan if they were to have any hope of victory. Morrigan's intervention was both strategic and mystical. She foresaw that the key to victory lay in a single battle, one that would see the Fomorian king, Balor, struck down. But she also knew that the war would not end with this battle alone. It would require the blood of many heroes, and many lives would be lost before the land would be free. When the day of the great battle arrived, Morrigan stood on the battlefield, her presence a looming shadow. She shaped the outcome of the war with every move she made. As she flew over the combatants in the form of a raven, her call echoed across the field, signaling the death of those who had defied her will. Her influence over fate was absolute, and the warriors who fought in the battle knew that their survival depended on whether they had earned her favor. Balor fell at the hands of Lugh, the sun god, but the war did not end there. Morrigan continued to weave the threads of fate, shaping the lives of the victors and the vanquished alike. The Tuatha Dé Danann emerged victorious, but the price of the war was high. The land was scarred, and many of the gods had lost their lives. Morrigan, standing alone amidst the aftermath, gazed over the battlefield with a mixture of sorrow and satisfaction. The war had been won, but at what cost? The land would never be the same, and the gods would continue to struggle against the forces of chaos and destruction. And so, Morrigan continued her eternal watch over the world of mortals. Her presence lingered in the air like the scent of a storm, ever ready to strike when fate demanded it. The wars she instigated were many, and the prophecies she foretold shaped the destinies of countless heroes. Yet, even as she reveled in her power, there was always a sense of sadness in her heart, for she knew that the forces she controlled were ultimately beyond her grasp. Morrigan, the goddess of war and fate, would remain forever bound to the land, her spirit entwined with the very fabric of Ireland itself. The warriors who fought in her name, the kings who sought her favor, and the people who prayed to her, all were part of the tapestry of fate that she wove. For as long as the earth stood, Morrigan would be there, watching from the shadows, a silent force guiding the ebb and flow of war, destiny, and life itself.